Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a minute since I've been on here. So I actually renamed my TikTok Faith MX because that's kind of been like my vision of this own like little baby or creation of mine or manifestation, if you want to call it, of like an organization that is like focused on bringing awareness of like safety and precaution issues and just things that are occurring in amateur motocross that I just feel like there should be a higher standard set and we should meet those standards because we are demanding so much out of these kids who are amazing. The fact that they can even do what they do, at the ages of 4 up to, grown men. It's amazing what these kids can do, and ultimately at the end of the day, like they're putting their lives like on the line when they line up at that gate. And, we are expecting that when we go to facilities that, it's going to be the highest standard ever, right? Because it's the most dangerous sport there is. Motocross is the most dangerous sport there is. And yet it is treated with such a lack of respect for human life. Yeah, we're sad and we grieve when we lose someone, but we just go on and the beat keeps drumming. And it seems like it's so expensive. Just since we started racing, it used to be like $20 a class. Then it was $25 a class. Then it was $30 a class. Now it's $35 a class. Used to be, if you showed up on a practice day, you were just there to practice, whether you had a 50 bike or a 65 bike. Now, you're charged for the 50 bike, you're charged for the 65 bike. So let's say you got 2 kids, you're charged for 4 bikes to go out there and practice on the same day. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I think if you're there to practice, it should be, like your $35 plus they're charging you the entry fee to get in the gate, right? So we're spending like all of this money, which is great, grand, wonderful. We do it. We bust our butts as parents to spend this kind of money and to get out there and work our butts off so that our kids can go live out their dreams, and we see something in our kids that it's like, I always say motocross kids are the most resilient kids in the world. Like, I don't care, put them up against any sport. Those are the most resilient kids in the entire world. They face adversity every single day and they get back up and they get back on that bike and all they can think about is let me get to the checkered flag, and that is awesome. And I love that. But I think that we as in our community, like our flaggers got to step it up. The people that we hire to bring in flaggers, they got to step it up. I've had all these like amazing ideas come to me after we had this recent incident that occurred at the south of the border regional. And we were so grateful to get to be there. Emmett killed it this year, made it in at Muddy Creek, and he got to race in the Southeast Regional Cullen win as an alternate, and so that was pretty cool for him too. He got to, see what it feels like, and then put in the work next year to make it there. But I have to say, like, there were so many things that happened and occurred. And if you get onto the Motocross Moms and Wives page on Facebook, like, you can read some of these things that happened and occurred. So it's not just for me. It's just, I don't know. I'm bold enough to just say the things out loud, and hopefully that we can talk about it. I tried to go about it in the most, Socratic way I could. I emailed the head of AMA, the head of MX Sports, and Tim Cotter, and I sent him actually a forwarded email from somebody else that had also emailed him, and who had a video, actually, over 6 minute, 35-second video of an incident that occurred of where a mother actually jumped the fence after like a minute and a half or so. Like, her kid was down, nobody was responding to him. It's like 2 minutes now, nobody's still responding. And this kid is literally down at the end of a jump, and kids are just jumping. It's blind, and the flag, it should have been a red flag. They should have like red flagged it, restarted the race. Like, serious medical incident has occurred. This kid went unconscious. He had a broken femur. I mean, they think he might have had a small like break in his back. We had the ambulance drivers all day that day were sitting in their seats, in their trucks, facing away from the track. And they weren't even like, the paramedics weren't even paying attention to the race. They're sitting in their AC, There was no like medical responders on the infield, which I thought was very weird. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there, but as far as what I heard and what I personally saw, I did not see any medical responders on the infield. And then also to add, there was another incident that occurred where there was a lot of jumping on Red Cross flags and nothing was ever spoken about of any of this. No points were ever docked for any of these kids jumping on Red Cross flags. You know, we have fouls, we have targeting, we have all these other different like rules and regulations in other sports. Well, why aren't these rules and regulations applying in motocross, especially in amateur motocross, the most dangerous sport there is? Like, you know, so it seems to be that, you know, we reach out to these organizations, but nobody seems to get back to us. Like, I called MX Sports 3 times myself, like personally called them, spoke to 3 wonderful ladies. They were very sweet. I told them how urgent it was that I wanted to speak with Tim Cotter about these incidences that occurred. They told me they appreciated my passion on the matter. And yes, I am very passionate about life, 100%. Because I believe, you know, we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength, which is the whole Faith MX, Philippians 4:13. That's my absolute favorite verse. You know, and I believe truly in my heart of hearts that we can do anything that we put our heart, our mind, our soul into. But the problem is that when we're doing these things and then the standards aren't being met by the rules and regulations in which they've set, then who's held liable? You know, it kind of like, it sucks because it's like you can't go up and talk to these people. The event promoters, like that weekend, it was Victory Sports Racing. You can get on the Moms and Motocross Wives page and you can make your own opinion about that. But it's really hard to talk to them. They're very condescending. They're very rude. They are very hostile when you try to have a conversation with them about these serious incidences that occurred. But this mother jumped the fence. She covered her son for 7 minutes blindly while bikes are still jumping this whole entire time. Everybody was horrified, like horrified. It was almost 7 minutes before they responded to him. And it was over 12 minutes for them to even get him off the track. They never red flagged that race. That should have been a red flag. You know? So, I mean, it's pretty clear what the flags stand for. And we had flaggers out there. Apparently, I had an insider from the infield who told me that we had 3 flaggers out there who didn't even speak English. They needed a translator to translate their correspondence. That is unacceptable. I personally saw 2 flaggers who were on their cell phones multiple times and almost looked like they were like boyfriend and girlfriend, like, you know, constantly texting each other. The flaggers are the eyes. They are the eyes for our children on that track to keep them safe. And the standards not being met, like, at all. And no one wants to answer phone calls. Nobody wants to answer emails, you know, and it really sucks. Like, I want to know what you guys think about it. Like, how do you feel at, like, your local tracks and how they're handling, you know, like the safety precautions? And do you guys think that it should be met with a lot more professionalism and care, thinking about all the money that we spent into it and the lives that are on the line? So let me know what you guys think. I'm curious if anybody else had any experiences at south of the border or wanted to share their experiences. Maybe we can turn Faith MX into a podcast where we can actually communicate about these things, you know? Anyway, let me know what you think, guys. Bye.